How you doing, YouTube? Sam Carey here of ShropShock, and today I'm going to be bringing you the first of many album reviews. I prefer to cover not necessarily a massive range of genres, but being a metalhead myself, got to get a rhyme in the place. Today I'm going to be reviewing one of my favourite thrash metal albums of the 1980s. I'm talking the legendary Fabulous Disaster by Exodus. The album itself was recorded at the end of 1988 and released January 30th, 1989. Members on it include, it's the second album with vocalist Steve Zetro Souza, but the rest of the lineup was already on the previous albums Bonded by Blood and Pleasures of the Flesh. You've got Gary Holt and Rick Hunnell on guitars, Tom Hunting on drums, and Rob McKillop on bass. Now, overall, this album, to sum it up lightly, is incredible, in my eyes anyway. The production is very clear. For 1989, it's incredibly clear-cutting. You listen to the drums specifically, you can hear almost every single bass drum hit in there. And almost as clear as Lars Ulrich's drumming on And Justice for All, which in my eyes is one of the most clear when it comes to drumming production. The guitar's very crisp and bitey, bass almost inaudible at points, but nonetheless very solid. Rob McKillop does what he's meant to do. Tom Hunting's drumming, I compare the guy personally to two legendary thrash drummers, Dave Lombardo, formerly of Slayer, and Charlie Benante of Anthrax. Steve Souza himself, I really love the raspiness in his voice, and on Pleasures of the Flesh you could hear it, you could really hear that raspiness, but I don't think it was anywhere near as powerful as it was on Fabulous Disaster. Gary Holt and Rick Hunnell were, I can see why they got the name H-Team. They were just phenomenal at those trade-off solos that they blast back and forth to each other. They were just amazing. If I had to name my top three favourite songs off this album, I'd have to start off with the fan favourite that almost everybody who knows Exodus should know, and that's the Toxic Waltz. Now, the song itself got a lot of airplay on MTV when it came out in '89. One of the few songs where they've done a video for it, where they filmed it at the Fillmore in San Francisco. Legendary gig by the looks of it, from what you can see. But the song itself, you know, the lyrical content, it's quite interesting. It's more or less like a Bay Area thrash anthem. Others could say, Metallica or Testament, they have their anthems for the Bay Area, but no, I personally think that Exodus really made the Bay Area their own. I love how the lyrics are almost a bit of parody in itself, you know, when you're talking Twist, the monkey, the mashed potato, and then you just go straight from all those into, no, we're doing a waltz of our own, and we're going to make it toxic. Overall, it's one of their best songs, period. You know, it's up there with Piranha, and then there were None, Chemical, you name it. Second favourite song, I would have to say, would be Cajun Hell. Now, Cajun Hell is quite unique in itself for the fact that it blends thrash metal, conventional thrash metal, with a very southern groove to it. You know, your slide guitars, your harmonicas in the beginning. It literally has a very, very Cajun feel to it. But it also contains what I personally think is one of the best solos of any thrash song, and that's Rick Hunnell's solo towards the end. It's just very memorable, personally anyway, incredibly whiny, but that's just the way I like it. My third favourite song is, it's quite tough, because there are so many songs on this album that I think are just fantastic. But if I had to narrow it down to three, you'd have The Toxic Waltz, Cage in Hell, and Like Father, Like Son. It's the slowest song on the album, many have said, and I will agree with that one. It starts off slow, a very slow, headbangy groove to it, and then, you know, it starts to pick up, and then it slows down again, and then picks up. The tempo changes are all over the place, but they work. The lyrical content itself, you know, it's domestic abuse towards children, and quite shocking as far as I'm concerned, but hey, at least it's, even back in '89 it was raising awareness towards that. Just a cracking song nonetheless. In terms of the either less known songs or the weaker songs on the album, I'd have to name their cover of War's Lowrider. Now that's a good song in itself, and this is a fantastic cover of it. However, my only criticism with this song is that I think that track 4 on Fabulous Disaster could have been a better song that they could have written at that time. I mean, even if it had come off, you know, their following effort, Impact is Imminent. If they'd written a song that eventually ended up on Impact is Imminent, but they'd written it during the Fabulous Disaster sessions and decided not to include it, I personally think that would have made a fantastic addition to it, but evidently they chose not to. But nonetheless, it's a good song, just it could have been better suited to a different song. The other song would have to be Open Season. A good song nonetheless, but not really that memorable aside from the chorus. I do like how it makes a bit of a reprise to The Toxic Waltz just as it's fading out. Just like we're going to remember our best song off this album and play it again, more or less. One song that it did take me a while to get into, it was a bit of a grow, was the actual title song itself, Fabulous Disaster. I don't know why, it didn't really ring true with me at first, but nonetheless I did find it quite a hard-hitting, very groovy song, but it just took a while to sink its claws into me, so to speak. Fabulous Disaster has got its weak points, namely Rob McKillop's bass is almost inaudible at points. You listen to the 2 seconds after the first chorus of Corruption, and you'll hear it very clearly. If you listen to it throughout the rest of the album, it takes a very, personally, it takes a bassist's ear to really pick it out. Being a bassist myself, I'm listening for every note that gets played. There's only a few that I've only been able to find, oh, that's how it's played, by looking at some of their live shows and going, oh, that's how it was done. But overall, it's, if you're looking for a very good, hard-hitting, balls-to-the-wall thrash metal album that, you know, was of its time and of an era that sadly can't be repeated. I wish I could have seen, you know, the mid to late 80s, even the early 90s when it comes to thrash metal, you know, with Megadeth, Slayer and Anthrax being on the scene as well. It would have just been fantastic to actually, you know, live that sort of lifestyle and be there at the end of January 1989 when that album finally hit the shelves, and to just pick it up for the first time and go, fucking hell, this is Exodus? Holy shit, this is some good stuff. The album itself has also got a very personal note to me. I discovered it at the end of 2015, and I was so impressed with it that I listened to it all from start to finish on YouTube. Very impressed by it that later on that night I ordered it off Amazon. It arrived a couple of days later, and at the beginning of January this year I took a short weekend break off to Germany, and, you know, while walking around the streets of Berlin, taking the U-Bahn and everything, I've got this album playing to me on my phone almost every single day. I was addicted to the album because it just really, so to speak, struck a chord with me. That was one of the best holidays of my life, and to have such a great soundtrack to go with it. I went to Spain in 2011, it was Anthrax. Went to Jordan in 2012, it was Trivium. This time it's Exodus for Germany, and I couldn't have personally thought of a better soundtrack to go with it. So the band themselves, but this album in particular, remains very special to me because of such a great experience that went with it. So if you like this video, don't forget to give us a like, drop us a comment in the box below by all means, and don't you dare forget to subscribe to us. We've got plenty more videos coming along the way. So there you have it. Fabulous Disaster by Exodus. If you haven't got it, go and get it. Go out there and dance the Toxic Waltz. But before that, stay beautiful, YouTube.